Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Sayyid Farooq Hasan is back with a new episode of Sky is the Limit. I always stress on the fact that there's no dearth of potential in Pakistan. When we talk about women icons, I think we have a huge list. But there are some icons which lead this list. Today I happen to be with an individual who has been in politics and social service for the last 5 decades. She has been a parliamentarian twice. She has also served in the federal cabinet as Minister for Women Development, Special Education, and above all, tourism. She has also been the advisor to the UN Secretary General for World Tourism Organization. I am talking about none other than Senator Nilofar Bakhtiar. Let's have a chit chat with her. Assalamu alaikum, Nilofar ji.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for giving us time.
Thank you.
I'm honored. You are currently the chairperson for the National Commission on Status of Women.
Yes.
And that's the buzzword in Pakistan these days, women empowerment. And there are so many talented females who are coming up very quickly. What does this National Commission do specifically, and how did you land up here?
Basically, this commission ensures that these women keep on coming up.
Okay.
We pave the way for them. We look at the policies, the reforms that need to take place in this country to ensure that the women's progress and empowerment is not hampered in any way.
Of any age?
Of any age.
Okay.
But basically our focus is on girls and women because there is a separate commission for child.
Okay.
Now this commission is supposed to be a watchdog body.
Okay.
And it is to look at all the government and private sector organizations, looking at the strength of women, the protection issues at workplace, the environment, the wage parity and issues like that.
So any issue which can dampen or hamper the growth of women in Pakistan is supposed to be handled by this National Commission.
Yes, and if you look at the size of this commission, it sounds like something very ambitious.
That's what I was wondering actually, because I came to this office and I was like, okay.
Yes, so we have an approved strength of 101.
Okay.
But we are functioning at 48.
Okay, this is Pan-Pakistan?
No. So after the 18th amendment, the subject of women development was devolved.
Ah, okay.
And there is no other women machinery at the national level.
Okay.
It's just us. And we are very small. We have very few resources. Our budgets are
Not.
I mean, I don't even want to quote the amount of money that we get.
Okay.
So it is always with the support of our development partners.
Yes.
And I have introduced now a new thing ever since I've taken over, that I am also looking at the private sector within Pakistan.
Yeah, public-private partnership.
Yes, it is so important.
Absolutely.
So they are also helping us. We are doing well. I am very proud of the fact that with a few resources and
you have managed to create so much.
Yes, because you see, the women of Pakistan look up to us as if we are a full ministry. And my job is more difficult because I have been the Minister for Women Development in the past. So even though it's been a gap of many years, people have the same expectations.
Ah.
So if I'm traveling in the plane, they come up to me, the air hostesses, if they have an issue.
Ah, okay.
If I am outside, shopping in the mall, women come up to me and complain about a certain thing which has happened to them at home.
So you become that face which any or every woman or girl can come up to and discuss the problem.
Yeah, maybe it's not just me, it's the commission behind me, but people have very high expectations from us.
So we're going to talk about this in detail towards the second half of the program, because I know lately you've made a lot of noise. You've held a series of conferences in collaboration with UNFPA.
Yes.
And on different topics and you've created sensitivity basically amongst the masses on that. But how did you land up here? Like, is it a nomination that you were nominated as a
No.
national?
No.
How did it
So
happen?
this is quite a tedious process.
Okay.
And I was in the parliament when this was being conceived, the entire idea about how to hire the chair of the commission. And we made it as difficult as it could
possible.
be. I never realized that I would
That you're
be a
making it for
candidate.
yourself.
Yes, yes. So this is a very interesting thing that happened to me. But the process is difficult. They advertise, you have to apply, then you have an interview, and then the names are shortlisted and sent to the parliamentary committee.
Okay.
And then there is a vote,
Okay.
and you're elected to this position.
So there are different
By the
candidates who apply for this position. and-
Anybody can apply.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone can apply who's eligible according to there is a criteria given.
Right.
And then after getting shortlisted, and in that parliamentary committee, it is very, very difficult because they have all the political parties representation.
Ah. So it's a very
So,
competitive process.
Very, very.
And you had to actually fight to get here.
Yes, very
Wow.
much so.
Awesome. I am glad that you made it because you're a true representative. Nilofar ji, let's go back to your childhood. Where did it all start? Where were you born? Which school did you go to? And how were you as a student?
I was born in Bannu, but
Bannu.
I'm not a Pathan.
Okay.
Everybody thinks that I am.
Okay.
And my father was posted there. I come from a military background.
Okay.
I have about 4 generations of army in my blood.
Okay.
And so I was born in Bannu because my father was posted there. And as I grew up, my mother was a social worker.
Okay.
So she introduced me to everything that she was doing. If there was a flood, I was there with her. If there was an earthquake, I was present. My mother used
You
to
would tell
work-
her.
Yes.
Okay.
And then ultimately, when I was in school and college, I started contesting elections. And that speaks for my role in politics, whether it was student politics or the country's politics.
Were you the eldest of the sibling? How many siblings?
I was
are
the
you?
youngest.
Youngest.
2 elder brothers,
Okay.
both in the army,
Okay.
and my elder sister, and then it's me.
So
I
you're
was
the fourth
youngest.
one. Okay,
Yes.
youngest. Most pampered,
Spoiled.
spoiled.
Totally.
Totally. So which school did you go to initially?
My
Bannu?
matriculation in Bannu, I was born.
Okay.
But
And
then later on, wherever my father was posted, I studied in public schools
all over Pakistan?
all over Pakistan.
Okay.
But for my metric, I was at the Presentation Convent, Rawalpindi.
In Pindi. Rawalpindi.
And for my graduation, I was in Government College, Rawalpindi.
Okay.
At my time, it was known as CB College.
CB College, yes.
Yes.
Now it's FG College, I believe. I
Yes,
don't know.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. That was
And people
the
like Shasta Khan
Yeah.
were my teachers and my role
Shasta
models.
Zaid.
Shasta Zaid.
Shasta
She
Zaid,
was
you
Khan then.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Shasta
yes.
Zaid, the famous newscaster.
Yes.
So during your early, like your class, grade 1, grade 2, nursery, were you like an extrovert kind of a kid, or an introvert, a shy one, or someone who would participate in sports, extracurricular, and be the teacher's pet? What kind of a student were you?
I was always into all kinds of extracurricular activities.
And
you know,
academics also.
and academics. Academics, I would not say that I was a topper.
You weren't the top
no,
three?
No.
Average.
Average. I was good.
But in
Okay.
extracurricular, you were
I was good.
in
Very
sports, badminton,
good.
all
Sports,
that
no.
kind. No.
Sports, no.
Debates, poetry.
Debates, dramatics, poetry,
Ah.
the college magazine.
And did the frequent change of schools during your school days, did it have any effect on your grooming or growth as a student?
I think it's been very helpful because today I love all the provinces of Pakistan equally.
You have friends everywhere.
Everywhere I have friends. And when I became tourism minister, I'm coming out of my childhood now, going back to this phase because I'm connecting the two. As tourism minister, my focus was the northern areas. I love Gilgit-Baltistan. I love Azad Kashmir. So I think had it not been my childhood exposure to so many provinces of Pakistan and to so many other kinds of diverse cultures, and also my mother was a kind of person who taught me to respect every religion. I have been working very closely with Hindu,
Sikhs.
Christian, Sikhs, all kinds of religions present in this country.
All communities.
All communities. And I don't feel any barriers. I can communicate very freely with them.
Very nice.
And I can go happily to their places of worship.
You have that connection.
I have that connection.
And who influenced you more as a child, like amongst your parents? Like your mother had more influence on you in your grooming, in your, who would teach you or help you with your studies, or was it your dad?
My dad mostly helped me because his focus was my education.
Okay.
He wanted me to be highly educated.
Okay.
Because he himself rose from a very small village in Punjab.
Okay.
And he studied in a school where there were no chairs.
Okay. You would sit on the floor and
Yes.
Tart wala school, as we call
Tart
it.
school. So then naturally he wanted me, he saw a spark in me, and he thought that I should be the one, to lead the family in the field of education and open up the doorways for the girls in the family. He was very supportive. He was a very emancipated man. So he supported me to go out of this country and study at the age of 19.
Ah.
This was a very
So
big
he
thing.
shaped your educational career.
Yes.
And your mother taught you the values,
the values,
the social work, and getting you groomed with the society and all that.
She was a very open-minded person. So she told me that men and women, rich and poor, Muslim and Christian, they could coexist as citizens of Pakistan.
I think that is one thing which probably needs more focus, specifically nowadays. Pakistan is for all Pakistanis. That was the vision of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah.
Of course.
So we are all Pakistanis at the end of the day, regardless of our culture, religion, creed. That's what we should focus on. So coming back to that, what was your vision when you were growing up? What did you want to become? Every person, specifically in those times, there were three main professions: doctor, engineer, and chartered accountant. And specifically for females, it used to be doctor. Every female would want to become. What was your vision? Like in your school days, what was your dream that, okay, I want to become this when I grow up?
When I graduated, I wanted to do something which was extraordinary, something which no other woman in Pakistan was doing.
Okay.
So I decided to do tourism and hotel management.
So not a traditional route,
No.
but a different route.
Yeah. So I started working for the hotels as an intern. And then ultimately I got a scholarship.
Okay.
And I went to study hotel and tourism in
So you did your
Salzburg.
degree in hotel and tourism.
Oh, yes.
No, but when you did your matric from Presentation Convent, Rawalpindi, when you go into college, you need to choose a certain set of subjects, right? If you want to do pre-medical, you need to choose biology, and if you want to do engineering, you need to choose chemistry. If you want to do general sciences, you take economics or other. What did you decide at that time? That okay, what did you do? Did you do your FSc pre-medical, or did you do your FA?
I just simply studied arts, and I did political science and psychology.
So you were clear at that time, because most of parents those days used to push their children that no, you should become a doctor, so take pre-medical. You were clear in your mind and you had convinced your parents that I would want to do something different.
They knew that I would make my own decisions and my choice,
Okay.
and they respected that. I tell you, I've been very fortunate that way, and not many people get the opportunity that I got at that age. And to tell you the truth, my brothers, people from my village, they stood up against my father when he allowed me to go out and study.
Oh, okay.
So it was a big thing at that time. And my father told me quietly, he said, I'm sending you, and if you come back and serve this country and set an example, the other girls in your family then will be allowed to go. But if you make one mistake, all of them are going to suffer. So this was one message that I kept in my mind when I studied abroad. I came back, I started working for the hotel.
Where did you
industry.
go to for your degree?
Initially, I went to Austria, Salzburg,
Okay.
and this was a scholarship.
Mhm.
And after that, I went to Cornell in New York.
Okay.
And then when I came back, I started working for PTDC hotels, and then the Intercontinentals.
You worked as a job, you know,
It
you
was
were
a
working
job.
there.
I was happy. Then again, I got a USAID scholarship and went for my master's program to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Coming back from there, I started thinking about other things in life. You know,
That
it was a
okay, I
change.
don't want to be a normal typical 9 to 5 job. I don't want to be in it. I want to do something different.
I wanted to change things here. You know, I saw there was a lot that I could do.
Okay.
And just being there at one particular place every day was not what I wanted in life.
Okay.
For a major shift, I had to change my career. So I started looking at social work and my activism, which was my love, you know, I mean, right from childhood days. So I got into the local government elections
Okay. And were you the first one in your family
first, and the family was so upset when I did that.
that you want to contest elections?
Contest elections at the Baldia level. in
Baldia, local
Rawalpindi.
council, yeah.
People, I mean, people laughed at my
No,
father and my
but
mother.
you were doing a lot of social work, so I'm sure the society around you would know you.
Yes, but the people in my family and in the social circle that I was moving in thought that it was something beyond the family status.
Ah, okay, okay.
So they said now she's going to go and sit with all those people. And why did you educate her? Why did you send her to America twice?
If
they
she
would
knew,
ask-
she was to do this.
Yes.
And I think you're talking about those times when females were very few in politics. I
Very
think there was no trend of, and especially young females, there was no concept of that, right?
There's no concept, and especially for women who had studied abroad. They didn't expect them to come and sit in the hall of the municipal corporation,
Ah.
Rawalpindi.
So when was your first election in this local council? Do you have any idea?
I don't even remember, but should be early or late 80s.
80s, somewhere in the 80s.
Somewhere in the
Okay,
80s.
so you contested those elections?
So I contested, I won, I became a councillor. My family initially was a little embarrassed and ashamed. My brothers were brigadiers in the Pakistan army, so they didn't want to associate with me for a long time.
This was in Rawalpindi?
Rawalpindi.
Okay, all right.
And but I carried on. I said I want to start from the grassroots, and that is why I feel so confident today. You see, I was not brought in by somebody.
You started
Nothing was
from
given to me
the
in a plate.
grassroots level.
Yes, I had to struggle my way up.
And were you married at that time when you fought those elections?
Yes, I was married.
And your husband was okay with it?
Initially, he was also unhappy.
A bit, you know.
He was.
Okay.
So, but he did not realize that I was just going to be there forever then. You know, he thought that I
It's
was
just a passing phase,
So,
which is still passing.
but it somehow it never stopped there.
Okay.
And naturally, when you enter a field, then your desire and dreams become bigger and bigger.
Yeah. How was your experience the first day in the municipal corporation when you joined as an elected councillor? How was it?
It was very challenging.
Challenging.
Because I had communication problems with
Okay.
the rest of the people. There was no acceptance.
Okay.
People thought that I was an outsider, somebody who did not belong to the clan.
Who wouldn't know the issues of the local
Yes, yes,
people? You know, she has studied from abroad, and
Yes.
she's like a burger, as they
Yes,
call it. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So it was very difficult, but I think that was the first right decision in politics that I made, because that opened and paved the way for many other women in Pakistan to follow. You see, they gave them the courage that they could also do it. I mean, after that, I realized that I had to work on the reserve seats quota for women in the parliament.
So as to ensure mandatory presence of women
Yes.
as an inclusion for the parliament.
Because people from my background can't just stand up and say that they want to contest a direct election in this country. It requires a lot of resources. Only the feudals, women who belong to the very elite political families
Who can afford
actually.
the expenses.
So the mediocres like Nilofar Bakhtiar could enter only through a process.
Yeah.
So that's how we initiated the reserve seats quota for women. And I'm so happy that we were able to do it. 33% at the
You see
local
so many
government
young
level.
lawmakers now in the parliament. So heartening to see that. So that local council stint lasted for what, 5 years?
Yes, one term.
One term.
And,
And what were your significant or major contributions that you feel during that tenure of being a local councillor?
well, I ended up in the jail. I was sent to a Diyala jail.
On what account?
This was a protest
Okay.
in a political movement.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I was leading the processions.
So that's why you
So I
were.
was jailed, and then it was my first experience in jail. From Adiala, I was shifted to Multan Women's Jail. That became a very big issue in my family because
Going to
know,
jail is not a.
it was not accepted.
It's a no-no.
Not in those days. And even though it was on a political account, but my brothers were disgusted, and my father was very hurt. But he was the only one who reached out to me. He stood by me.
He stood by you. But talking about your contribution as a councillor, because you had joined with a certain mission, a motto, right? That's why you chose this difficult path. What do you feel was your contribution during that 5 years for the local community?
My thrust was on women's education, so I concentrated
Schools?
on the schools and girls' colleges, and I was very well received also, because in the Baldi at that time there were not many elected people who were highly educated. So I was in high demand by the people of Rawalpindi city who wanted to work for education and also for basic female emancipation issues. So I worked for that. Then I collected a big crowd of women around me, and I started talking to them about the rights, the basic requirements, and they were totally unaware. I was surprised. This was Rawalpindi city, and women, nobody had ever spoken to them about their existence. So it was a complete change of mindset
Okay.
when they were working with me.
Okay.
And I am very proud of the fact that many of those women who worked with me at that time then became members of the parliament,
Okay.
Senate.
Can you name a few?
For example, Tara Aurangzeb Sahiba
Okay.
was my general secretary when I was president of the
Okay.
women's wing.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
And,
she's a
Seema
center still.
Jilani Sahiba
Okay.
is also a member of the parliament still. So this lady who's now the Minister for Education, Rahila Durrani in Balochistan, she is one of my former colleagues.
Okay.
So I'm very proud of the fact that today I see many women in the political arena who grew up with me, you know.
Yes.
They were a part of my struggle and my process in women's politics in Pakistan.
Yes.
You see them in high places. Many of them were put on the reserve seats list because I was the president of the women's wing of Pakistan Muslim League. So I put them on the reserve seats list. For example, Hina Rabbani Khar Sahiba.
Okay.
I interviewed her. So there are many names.
Okay, okay, great. So after that stint as a councillor, you were well versed with the local politics and you were pretty okay with it that you want to make this as your, you know, the way forward in life, right? I won't say like a career. What happened after that?
I mean,
You continued your social work along with your political career?
I have never given up on that side of my life.
That is your permanent thing?
That is a permanent thing.
Okay.
I started that work as a child with my mother. My
Okay.
mother was a social worker, and I still do that whenever I can. You know, that is my passion, and I would never give up on that. That keeps me. Uh, I mean, that actually keeps my sanity intact.
Intact.
Because I'm basically a human rights activist. I'm not a politician.
Human rights
I'm not
activist.
even cut out for politics.
That's a good term. And that reminds me, I would like you to tell me about the complex that you made as a part of your social welfare initiative. Lately, I think 3-4 years back, you started work on that.
When we started this initiative, and to tell you the truth, I never thought that it would turn out to be such a big project ultimately. But today I'm very proud of it, and also because it is in the name of my mother. It is called Sayyida Hafiza Begum Skill Development Center.
So it's like a tribute.
It is a tribute to my mother, because whatever I am today ultimately is because of my mother.
Okay.
So it has a school, it has a day clinic, and it is in Tarnaul, very close to Islamabad.
Islamabad, yeah.
I should give more time to it. I have not been able to give a lot of time as I wanted to initially. I have always been multitasking. I like doing many things at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
But
How many students graduate
the
from
school
the
has
study
about
there?
200 plus students,
Okay.
and the skill development center attached to the school has about 300 plus students.
You have a faculty managing the school,
Yes, yes, yes.
and you fund it.
We
End to end.
raise funds through the family
Okay.
because it's in my mother's name.
Okay.
But then there is an independent group
Mm-hmm.
of volunteers.
Who
These
help
are
out.
all volunteers.
So this is the best part about Pakistan. You know, if you start a good initiative, there's so many people who would want to join you and join hands for a better and brighter kind of growth in that area.
Yes.
Amazing. Your stint as a local councillor ended. You got the flavor of politics. Did you then decide to enter the national politics?
Yes, so there was this disaster at the Ojri camp. So
88.
I was doing Lions Clubs International at that time. I was very busy doing my social work and my activism. And all of a sudden, during that entire episode, we were working as volunteers, as social workers of the community. And then Prime Minister Jamali called me to the oath-taking ceremony. Till then, I did not know what was happening.
Okay.
So after the oath-taking ceremony, they announced the 5 advisors,
And you were one of them.
and I was one of them.
Tourism? No,
No.
women development.
So this was women, this was social welfare, special education, Baitul Mal. I don't know how many portfolios.
5-6 portfolios are given to you. Before we go on to that, Nilofar ji, we'll take a short break. It was a very, very interesting conversation. I can see Senator Nilofar going back in time, recalling those tough times, happy times, good times, sharing them all with you. We're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right. Welcome back to Sky's the Limit. This is Syed Farooq Hasan in conversation with Senator Nilofar Bakhtiar. And what an interesting conversation. It's just like a story. Senator Sava, tell me, so 2002 you took oath as an advisor with multiple portfolios, special education, women development, Baitul Mal. What was your contribution during that tenure?
I think that was the best period of my life. One, because I had so many areas
Huge
where
campus.
I could contribute. The campus was very huge. And more because I had a lot of vigor and strength at that time, naturally. So, as Women Minister, we contributed tremendously because that was the time when Beijing Platform for Action was being developed in the country. And since I had been at Beijing, and that is the major roadmap for women around the world.
Yeah.
So I worked around that. And today when we are going in for the 4th review of the Beijing Platform for Action, they keep on engaging me for consultations.
Because you were the pioneer, one of the pioneers.
One of the pioneers. And more in this country because it all started when I was the Minister for Women.
Okay. Right.
Then the first pro-women legislation, I mean, it was a very big thing because after the 60s, there were no pro-women legislations in the country.
Okay.
That was brought in by me
as
the Minister for Women. And this was legislation against honor killings. And it was a very big challenge. It was not easy to change the mindset of the parliamentarians, my own colleagues. I still remember when I introduced this legislation in the parliament, I made a very fiery speech and I introduced the bill. And when I looked around, you will not believe, there was not a single person in the parliament. Everybody had walked out. My own party, the opposition, the extremist groups, everybody.
So they were not
nobody
in favor of that bill for that.
And I did not know what to do with it. So then how we lobbied again with the support of the President of Pakistan, of course. And we finally managed to get that through. That opened the way for many other legislations. And then ultimately in 2006, we were able to amend the Hudud ordinances, which were a no-go area for the women in this country.
Again a taboo.
So yes, so I'm very proud of these 2 major achievements.
That were your contribution.
These were legislations, real big challenge for this women and for the women in this country. So that was one area. Then the first policy about special people was developed by me as the Minister for Special Education.
Okay.
And
it was never there before?
It was not there before.
Okay.
And then these job quotas for the special people that you see.
2 to 3% I think in every.
Yes. So that was created by us at that time. Even today the signboards that you see in the parking areas were put by us at that time. So a lot of things were done for the disabled in this country. And I'm very happy about that fact.
Awesome.
That is one of my biggest achievements in life.
Awesome. But people mostly relate you with tourism. Why is that?
That was my second term.
Okay.
So then when
you became a senator.
Then I got elected as a senator.
Yeah.
Because all this work as women minister and social welfare
this was
minister,
an advisor.
As an advisor with the status of a minister.
Okay.
But then I got elected.
Okay.
And when I got elected as a senator, I requested the president that I wanted to do tourism because this was an area where I had studied, which was actually my qualification.
Okay.
And there's so much potential in this area, especially for a country like Pakistan.
Okay.
And
this was in 2006.
And 2007 beginning.
You did a lot of work in 2005 also for the earthquake victims.
Yes.
Right?
I was the Women and Social Welfare Minister
at that time.
At that time.
It was
I had Baitul Mal with me and special education, everything.
So you had the muscle to actually flex it and help the...
I don't want to boast about it, but also the heart.
Yeah.
You see, basically, at heart, I've always been an activist. I've never been a good politician. I've not succeeded there. See,
that's debatable. I think you've done very well in politics also.
But if I compare it with my life as an activist and as a social worker,
that would take more weight.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm happy about that.
Yeah, happy about that.
So when this earthquake happened, right from day one, I was just engaged doing nothing else.
Right.
I still remember one day the Prime Minister of Pakistan called me to his office and he said, will you please start doing your own work also because you're so engaged with the earthquake. And I said, sir, sorry, I just can't. I couldn't think of anything but the rescue and the rehabilitation work. So I just got carried away, and so in the middle of all that, I got to see many other challenges. Then I was ultimately one day in Paris, where I made a jump for the earthquake victims fundraising.
And that became a bit controversial.
It did. Those pictures were printed because when I landed, there was a picture taken. My instructor, was hugging me actually, because he'd never expected that I would be able to jump from 18,000 feet.
Yeah.
It was a free fall. So I thought I had done something very big for my children in the country back home. But when I came back, somebody stole that picture out of my office, printed it in the newspapers, became a fatwa, and basically they tried to get rid of me. This was one way of getting me out of politics.
And it worked?
It worked, because I was very angry. As a younger Nilofar Bakhtiar, I was not as balanced as...
Age adds wisdom and patience to you,
yes.
right?
I think to all of us.
To all of us.
Because you learn through your experiences. So at that time I was a little hot-tempered also. But I also thought that if I do not stand up for my own rights, how would the women of Pakistan believe in me? I had to quit. I had to resign and make my point. So I resigned.
So you resigned?
I resigned after that fatwa because my own cabinet, my own president, nobody stood up with me.
Okay. But you didn't give up on the good deeds, huh? You joined Red Crescent as chairperson after that?
I was taken in as the chair of the Red Crescent Society of Pakistan, and I was already the vice chair, but then I became the chair. Then they took me in as the chair of the tourism committee in the parliament. So I continued with my activities. But there is one thing that I still regret till today, that I could not finish my term as the tourism minister of Pakistan.
And that had to be cut short because of this incident.
My heart was there, and I wanted to do so much for tourism in this country.
And I think tourism is one area where Pakistan can really excel.
It can.
Given the current scenario, I think it can bring in a lot of effects for foreign exchange for Pakistan. It can earn a lot of foreign exchange.
Yes.
Because Pakistan is beautiful.
Beautiful. What a country.
We have untapped areas. It's awesome. So a lot of work needs to be done on that.
Yes.
Great. Your contribution in International Committee for Red Cross, when you were chairing that, any initiative that you undertook?
The earthquake, rehabilitation work after the earthquake, and then the floods. I faced two major floods as the chair of
2010 and 11, I think this devastating.
In a row.
Yes.
And I was chairing
covered those
the
floods.
Pakistan Red Crescent, and then I made contacts worldwide, and there was so much support that came my way, and I was able to contribute tremendously. I'm very proud of that fact.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes.
And then we saw Senator Nilofar Bakhtiar, she just kind of vanished from the screen for about good 8 to 10 years. I'm sure you would have continued with the social work, but then we saw you back as the chairperson for National Commission on Status of Women. Where were you in those 10 years?
No, I left in 2011.
Yeah.
And
you joined commission in 2021 as chairperson.
But in 2017, I joined a political party.
Oh, okay. You came back into active politics.
Yes, I came back into active politics. But before that, I was actively engaged in all the legislations that were pro-women and that were to be passed by the parliament.
So you continued working on that as a social worker or as an activist?
Yes, because you see, when you are a minister, you can only lay the bill at the table.
Yeah, but there's a lot of
work.
But
a lobbying is required outside. So I started doing that work.
Okay.
I knew what kind of support was required. So this, for example, the acid crimes bill, when it came to the floor of the parliament.
Acid burn victims.
Yes. acid throwing.
Assets, right.
So that bill I supported from outside the parliament.
Masarad Mispa
So
also
these-
worked a lot on it, I
A
think.
lot.
Huh?
Her
Duplex miles
contribution
again.
is tremendous.
Yes, yes.
And Valerie Khan. So there were a lot of other things happening.
Okay.
So I supported those
You kept yourself busy.
legislations,
Yeah.
but as a civil society activist, and I am very happy when I'm only an activist, because then I can speak my mind, I can be myself.
Yes.
I can be Nilofar Bakhtiar. I don't have to toe a party line, a government line.
No
Then you have-
inhibitions.
yes, you have your barriers.
Yes, I understand.
So being on this side of the fence is easier than being on the other side.
Okay. In 2021, you are selected as the chairperson for this national commission, very, very important national commission on status of women in Pakistan. What are the initiatives that you have introduced over the last 2-3 years, besides the series of conferences which you recently held and made a lot of noise about? So can you just brief us?
When I took over as the chair, there were 4 thematic areas on which the commission was working. Basically, pro-women legislations and violence against women, political participation, and health and education. But there was no focus on many areas which then I introduced. Today we're working on 10 thematic areas. We've introduced subjects like climate change and impact on women, digitalization and how it can improve the economic status of women and also the status of this country. So there are many subjects. Now I'm also working with women and disabilities, which is an area very close to my heart. And so I've introduced many new sides and dimensions to the commission. The second thing was that there was no connectivity with the other ministries and departments and the government. Commission was functioning in isolation. So finally we have nominated focal persons in all the ministries of the government of Pakistan.
Who will coordinate with this commission?
So they are our focal points, focal persons. So any initiative that we take, they come on board with us. So the team has become bigger. As we lack resources, I told you earlier in the interview, we needed more partners. So I looked for more partners for support. We have today about 10 publications in the last 3 years
Very nice.
that we have produced, and I'm very proud of those reports and publications. They include research, they include consultations, and every report or book that is today a part of our library has been done practically after consultations with the entire country. So for every report, I moved to the 4 provinces and also to Gilgit-Baltistan.
So it's not a particular sample, it's a whole...
The entire country.
Entire.
So for example, if it's climate change, it talks about Gilgit-Baltistan and the melting of the glaciers and also to the seashore of Karachi. So that was a way of taking the entire country along, because this is the National Commission.
Yes.
The sad part has been that I have lacked support from the commissions in the provinces, because most of these commissions are incomplete. The Punjab Commission has no chair, Sindh Commission has no chair,
And it's continuing like that.
the KP Commission has no chair.
So you need more support in, from the provinces, obviously, and that would matter. How long is the tenure of the
Chair?
Yeah.
My tenure ends on the 28th of July. I am finishing my term of 3 years.
On a high.
Yes. And these conferences, the series of conferences that you just talked about, they are being done, carried out to craft a roadmap. We are in the process of making a roadmap for the future. At least 10 more years to go. For the women, I don't want to just leave and go away and leave the unfinished agenda. So in each thematic area that we have worked, for that we are holding a national conference where we get all the provinces, all the government machineries and the civil society on board, including the media. Media has been my major support.
Major support.
Thanks
Okay.
to people like yourself.
No.
So when I include all of them, then we carve out, we have group discussions, very hectic.
On diversified topics and very sensitive topics.
And then come out with an agenda. So
Ah.
after each conference, we roll out an agenda. For example, we've had 4
Just now.
last week.
Yeah.
So we've done health, we've
Mm.
done climate change, we've done education, and we've done law.
Mm.
So now we know where to stand, and the framework, the policy framework can be developed looking at that agenda.
Fair enough.
So we are sharing it now with the provincial governments, with the civil society organizations.
Godspeed. I
Thank
wish you
you.
Godspeed.
We are getting a series done now in this month also.
Okay.
I would invite you to join us.
It would be an honor and a pleasure. I'll definitely join. Any of your kids in coming in politics?
No.
No. So none before you and none after you.
I do not know what the future holds for them,
Yeah.
but for now they are also working in the social sector, in the development sector,
Mm.
and they're very, what should I say, keen on contributing towards the betterment of the
Okay.
people of Pakistan.
So they're continuing with the social
They're
work.
not
and all.
typical business people
Okay.
or there to earn money.
Great.
I mean, I've brought them up that way,
Great. Great.
but they're not in current politics.
Much as I would love to continue this lovely talk center in Nilofar, I think we are running short of time. We have paucity of time. But before we sign off, there are a lot of youngsters watching you, a lot of young girls who are watching you, and I would like you to give an inspiring message to all of them. How can they replicate your vision and take this country forward?
I think by being honest
Mhm.
to themselves, to their families, to the communities, I think honesty ultimately pays back. Whatever you do, you should do with a passion. Don't just do it because the others are doing it. Don't just do it because it will fetch money for you. Do it because it satisfies your inner self.
Yeah.
That is important.
Yeah.
Because when you reach my age, and this is for the younger ones who are watching me, at this age you realize what you've gained and what you've achieved in life. And by the way, the title of your program,
Sky is the limit.
Sky is the Limit, was my logo when I was the chair of Lions Clubs International.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's something which
I love
fascinates
this.
me also. It fascinates me also. Senator Nilofar, pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. And as you rightly said, honesty is the best policy. It might not pay immediately, it might be very tough, but eventually it does pay. So if you want to succeed in life, make honesty your way of life. Thank you very much, viewers, for watching this episode of Sky's the Limit. Inshallah, I'll see you in another episode with another interesting guest next week. Till then, Allah Hafiz.